Hello and welcome to another walkthrough by Commander Rogden from Rogden Gaming. Elder Scrolls V was released a few days ago. I've gone through my first playthrough and I think I'm ready to start doing some walkthroughs for this. Before we get started though, we'll look at character creation and some creation tips. Let's go in alphabetical order here, looking at the Argonians. Now, for some reason, the programmers decided not to list the skill benefits, so I'll be posting those in the corner of the screen. And Argonians, their power, which is once per day, most powers are once per day, regenerates their health 10 times quicker than normal. Now, this is based on your total maximum health, so this can become an extremely powerful ability later in the game. They also gain natural resistance to disease of 50%, which is nice so that rats don't constantly give you diseases. Their water-breathing ability is not as prominent as I was hoping it would be, but it's interesting nonetheless. Bretons are the mages, I guess, of the game, or one of the mage classes. They start with a conjuration spell, Conjure Familiar, due to their bonus in that school. They also have the Dragon Skin power, which is a once per day ability. However, it only absorbs the magicka of the spells that are cast on you, not the damage, so it's considerably less effective than the High Elf ability. Their magic resistance, however, is very strong, it's 25%, and later in the game you will be taking a lot of magical damage, so they make a solid race for any class, regardless if you're warrior or mage. Dark Elves start with the Spark spell, which really isn't that good because I think you find a book in the beginning of the game that has Spark in it already, but their bonus is primarily in Destruction Magic. Their power is Ancestor's Wrath, which wreathes them in fire, which damages enemies that get close to them. It's not too bad, but overall not one of the better powers. Their 50% bonus resistance to magic does not come into effect as often as you think it would, considering that you're fighting dragons, because dragons tend to use frost damage. But anyways, an overall solid race. The High Elves start with bonus of Frenzy, which is an illusion magic school, makes enemies attack each other. They start with 50 bonus magicka, which is a really huge bonus at the beginning. Their power, once per day again, regenerates magicka 10 times faster than normal, which can really let you pull out the damage if you need to. So these make for very solid destruction mage casters. Definitely a good race if you want to go with mage. The Imperial ability allows them to calm enemies around them. Now, I'm not really sure how useful this is. Haven't really come into situations where I need to stop enemies from attacking me, but you know, it could be okay. Personally, I prefer something else. Their ability allows them to gather more coins when you find coins, which is really not the greatest ability. In fact, I think that Imperials are probably one of the worst races that you could choose for your character, but again, it's not that big of a deal. Our Khajiit are our cat race. You know, see a look at our cat here. Pretty spiffy. They gain bonus to damage with their unarmed attacks, which really isn't all that good, but right at the beginning it allows you to do more damage than you would normally do with your weapon, which is nice. Plus, if you are forced to go into combat with a few of the quest lines that you have to do to, unarmed beat someone down, it gives you a special bonus. They also gain the ability to see in the dark. Now, this is unique for a power because it's not a daily, it's a toggle, so you can periodically turn it on and off as you need. And again, the dungeons are not as dark as what you would normally expect them to be. They're fairly bright, so this doesn't give you a huge bonus, but it's interesting nonetheless. Nords are the, I guess they're the storyline race for a lot of this game here. They gain 50% resistance to cold damage, and that cold damage will be, again, it'll be coming into effect a lot, especially if you're traveling to Winterhold College. You'll be fighting lots of frost dragons, so this is definitely a good solid race to choose. And their battle cry makes opponents flee, which I don't really think is that good. You probably want the enemy to stay in front of you so you can beat his face off, but more power to you if you feel that that's good. The Orcish race their power is Berserker Rage, which doubles their damage and halves their incoming damage. Again, this is a daily power. This is extremely powerful. If you're looking for a starting character, these are very solid race to be, because they'll get bonuses to their heavy armor and whatnot, and you can survive encounters you normally wouldn't be able to at least once per day. Now the red guards, their ability is the Adrenaline Rush, which increases their stamina regeneration by 10 times the normal amount, which will allow you to constantly perform power attacks, which, I mean, I'm not really sure how useful that would be. I think that the Orc really trumps them with their power, but their natural resistance to poison is pretty solid, I guess, 50% resistance. And the Wood Elves also have a 50% resistance to poison as well as to disease, so they're solid defensively in that category. They can command an animal. Now, as far as I'm aware, there is no level restriction on this. I haven't actually gone through and tested it, so please go ahead and correct me if I'm wrong here. But if there is no level, that means that you can command a mammoth to come around and follow you and beat the crap at everything. Unfortunately, the command animal does not prevent the animal from attacking you when it's done. So if you feel like commanding a bear, some cave bear that comes to eat your face, you better find something for it to fight, or all you will do is delay its eating of your face. So again, I've listed the abilities in the corner here. Now, the character that I'm going to be using for most of my walkthroughs is going to be a Khajiit. They are excellent for archery, and I'm going to be going with sort of stealth character. So before you go ahead and design your character, what you want to be considering are the abilities that you will link up together. Unfortunately, the game doesn't readily list what skills are available to each character, so you may want to just fast forward to that point, which is exactly what I'll be doing. Before we do that, though, let's take a look at some of the different options that we can use for our characters, and this applies to all of the races. You can go through and you can look at their the different options to changing things, and there's definitely a lot of them. I'm just gonna choose something that's pretty much preset. So we're looking for a thief magey character. Let's go with this guy, and I'm just gonna change up his hair a little bit here. Alright, so there we go. So this is our character. Now, when you select done, you get to name your character, and you can name him anything you want. There are some naming things that you can use for different characters or different races, and there's a website that you can go to for that. But for the moment, this is going to be my guy, and I'm just going to skip ahead to the skill part. As promised, here we are at the skill selection screen, and you can see that some skills are higher than others, which were based on the race that I selected. I'm not going to go over what every single skill does. I will take a brief look at some of the options available to you. What I recommend that you do is reach this point in the game. This is right after where you follow one of these two characters into a building, and just go in here and take a look at the skills and see what options are available to you. I can recommend a few skill combinations if you're interested. You should be focusing on between 2 to 3 skills, at least one offensive and one defensive skill, and potentially another utility skill. So you could go with archery, with sneak, and with conjuration, which is what I'll be using with this character. Go with one-handed alteration and block. Go with two-handed heavy armor and smithing, or perhaps destruction and restoration. I mean, there's a lot of different combinations you could choose. I recommend going in here and taking a look at some of them. Now, what you need to concern yourself with are the number of skill points that you have available. Skill points are called perks in this game, and you gain 1 for each level. So each level is not necessarily an improvement of a skill. Each particular level requires several improvements of skills, which increases as your level goes higher. Now, to give you an example of this, let's say that you wanted to use an alteration type mage with no armor and gaining armor through your spells. Well, you'd want to choose at least this many perks. So that would be the first perk for this spell here, the second for this, and then 3 more, because this is 0 out of 3, in order to max this out. So that would be a total of 5 perks, or 5 different levels that you would need for this particular character. Now you can also improve more options in this, and again it will require around 10 skill points in order to max out most trees. Some require less than others. The only reason why I use this as an example is so that I can mention that shields do not count as armor for the purposes of wearing armor, so block and alteration is a really strong combination. The secondary reason why I recommend between 2 and 3 core skills that you focus on is level scaling. Now if you've played Oblivion, you're familiar with the idea that enemies get stronger as you get stronger. It is less pronounced in this game, but for the first 10 levels it can be very problematic if you do not have any combat skills. So if you are leveling speechcraft, pickpocket, and lockpicking, for example, you would find that the enemies are much stronger than normal. Aside from the perks that you gain from leveling, there are a couple of other bonuses, the first of which are training sessions. So as you can see here, this is 0 out of 5, and it doesn't matter whether or not you've trained, you will lose these sessions if you did not use them previously. And I'm going to be using a little bit of an exploit in order to get him to train me for free. Let's go ahead and do this here. Let's take his gold. And I'll show you that the thing doesn't carry over, so I'll train this up to 4 to 5, and you'll see that it will disappear after I train. So now that I've been able to level up, you see that my skills have changed to a level up icon. And the next thing that you gain from leveling is a choice of magicka, health, or stamina. Depending on the skill selections that you plan on focusing on, you will want to choose a different ratio of each. So if you're primarily focusing on casting spells, you'll want mostly magicka and a bit of health. If you're primarily using one or two-handed weapons, you'll want health and stamina, or if you're going a mix of all three, you could split them evenly. Now for this particular character, I'm going to be initially focusing on magicka. As you can see here, there is also a new perk that I have gained, so this gives me 1 additional perk that I can spend, and you can spend it on anything that you like in this particular tree. So let's, for example, go into my newly raised archery skill, and I can choose this perk to make my bows do increased damage.
Let's get going then.
Now, as you can see here, I've only trained 4 out of 5, but you can see that it resets. I do not get the additional training, so it goes right back to 0 out of 5. Now, something that I didn't mention about skills is how they actually level. So I'm going to make this guy stop following me for a second here.
I'll head back home if you need me.
So as you can see there, my pickpocket has increased, and pickpocket increases based on the value that you stole. So it increased by quite a lot from stealing that portion of gold from that character. And all other skills level by using, so if you sneak around, it will gradually level up just simply by wandering around, being undetected. If you use your arrows, or your swords, or even get hit wearing armor, that will all level via use. As skills progress in rank, they will level considerably slower than they did at the early ranks. Because of this, you may be tempted to train these skills up to, the ranking 100 maximum. However, I do not recommend doing this. There's a couple of reasons for it. The first is that the cost is exorbitant if you do not plan on stealing or trading it back. The second reason is, in order to reach the maximum level in the game, you'll need to level all of the available skills, and using training on skills that do not level very quickly is definitely a good way to go about doing that. You could also raise, for example, armor skills simply by getting hit without any cost to yourself, and meanwhile raise other skills that you don't plan on using, through the different trainers in the game. This type of training is recommended post level 30. Prior to that, you should be focusing on adding a 4th or 5th skill to your core skill set. Some skills function better than others without perks. However, as you raise in level, you may find that you have excess perk points to spend, and leveling up a skill in preparation of that is certainly a good idea. Well, I believe that about covers everything. Hopefully I did not miss anything. So good luck with your Skyrim characters and happy adventuring. This has been character creation and leveling tips. by Commander Ogden. Thanks for watching.